Hey everyone, it's Jen Fontanilla, your money coach, and I'm committed to helping entrepreneurial women take control of their money so they gain clarity, hope, and confidence in order to live out their true passion and purpose. And I have my love pillow I got from Adams and Company. Thank you so much. And I have the pillow here with me not only to hold, but because a couple weeks ago I had done a video about the morning routine. And you guys hear me talk about money, but the reason why I talk about some things like that don't necessarily are directly related to money is because I'm a strong advocate for life hacks, things that help you improve daily habits. Because when we can do those things and take care of ourselves, we make better decisions, we're well rested, and obviously a lot of those decisions could be financially related. So you see there's a method to the madness. So anyhow, I did a video about the morning routine and I realized how important that was. But in order for the morning routine to happen, you definitely need to know how to set it up correctly. And in order to set it up correctly, you need to take a step back and figure out how are you handling your nighttime routine. Because if you're not doing that, then the chances of the morning routine happening are slim to none. It doesn't really work because you're tired. Sometimes or people are wondering like, well, I can't wake up and all kinds of things like that. So in this video, what I want to talk about is how do you set up the ultimate nighttime routine to help you get on track if that's something you want to strive for, and if that's something that you want to do in terms of setting up the morning routine the right way. So why do we even want to have a good nighttime routine? Well, the one of the biggest things is you are going to be able to get better rest. And when you get better rest, you sleep well, you sleep better, you wake up alert, you wake up refreshed. And the next day, you will be able to stay awake. How many times have you sat at your desk at work or just falling asleep at the computer, trying to stay awake? I mean, I know there's times when that's happened to me when I didn't get adequate sleep. And I'm staring at the computer for 15 minutes and the cursor's just blinking or nothing's happening. I'm reading the same sentence over and over. It's because my brain isn't sharp, I'm not alert, and I'm tired, and it's most likely because I did not have a good nighttime routine or good night's rest and sleep, or even worse, like I probably didn't even get enough hours. And so that all attributes to how are you preparing at the nighttime routine. So there's some things you can do. So I'm going to go through some of them. And at the end of this, I'll also tell you some tips that you can do so that you can start implementing that if that's what you want to do. The first thing you want to do is make sure you are hydrated. I guarantee you are probably not drinking enough water. And so, you hear about 8 ounces, 8 times a day, that type of thing. There also is a formula to it. If you want to get really specific, you can look that up. But most of us are not hydrated. We're not drinking enough water, and it's so important because it's great for our cells. It's great for our brain. Again, it's all about making better decisions and being alert. So make sure that you're drinking enough water. And also, too, when it comes to drinking, some people, you want to avoid alcohol after a certain time because that could affect your sleep. I don't get affected by caffeine. I could literally drink coffee at 8 o'clock and still pass out at 9. But for some of you that are highly affected, you probably want to stop drinking caffeine or coffee after 4 p.m. and that way it's not really affecting you not going to sleep, because some of you just get super wired and then it's going to affect you getting into a consistent routine. And I'm going to talk about that as well. The second thing is to have a clear-cut time when you shut down when it comes to work. There's going to be another shutdown time, but this is when you're done working. Because when there's inconsistencies, you just can't get into the habits. It's a lot more difficult. And so I understand there's going to be times when you have special projects, special deadlines. And I'm not talking about that because, for example, when I was working on my book at the end of last year, my whole sleep schedule was thrown off. There were some deadlines that were pending. I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours later than my normal routine. And so, but you have to understand that was just a short period of time. It wasn't something I do all the time on a consistent basis. I'm usually, shut down in bed not by 9. Like some of you that talk to me frequently, after 9 you just forget it. I'm not answering your text. I actually do use the do not disturb function on my phone. If that's something that could help you, I highly recommend it. If you're worried about certain people getting a hold of you, there's ways to accommodate that on your phone on a certain list. But for me, I'm very sensitive to sound. I'm a very light sleeper, so I have to use it. Otherwise, I could hear it in my dreams. I know it sounds crazy, but I can hear it easily. So I can't interrupt my sleep pattern, or it's going to disrupt me getting consistent hours of sleep and go into REM state. So make sure you are shutting down when it comes to when is work going to end. And walk away from the device, or walk away from the laptop or the work, and just know when to mark the end of your workday. Again, there are exceptions if you have projects and deadlines and things like that, but on other days, try to become more consistent of what that shut off time is. The third one is to prepare for tomorrow. How many times have you told yourself, like, okay, I have to remember this, or do this in the morning? You're like bogging your brain down trying to hang on to all these things that you want to remember. Write it down. But if there's something that you can easily prepare for, like laying out your clothes, or if you work out in the morning, like lay that out so it's brainless. I mean, I even trained my kid, like, okay, before tomorrow, put your clothes out so we're not running around looking for what you're wearing, and he has this favorite sweatshirt. I want all that stuff laid out because I'm not going to waste any time in the morning looking for anything. And that goes with anything else you need, that especially if you need to take your laptop with you, there's certain notebooks, certain papers, contract, anything like that. Have it somewhere so it's already ready to go. Not you looking for it in the morning. Make sure you take care of that at night. And then you will just feel better. You'll just feel better because it's all laid out, planned, and there's no running around in the morning because anything can happen, and then you're already running late. The last thing you need to do is start looking for, all that stuff. So just prepare yourself. You will feel so much better. You're going to alleviate this internal feeling like, okay, don't forget that. Don't forget this. That's not the way to go. So prepare yourself, and even if it's cleaning up too, tidying. Like, I know for me, like, one of my rules is, like, I can't have dishes in the kitchen. It has to be clear. The countertops have to be clean. The dishes there can be nothing in the sink. But that's just my thing. But I like to have it clean. I don't want to come back down in the kitchen the next day and see this mess. So that's something you can also implement when it comes to, not only tidying up your environment, but also, preparing for tomorrow and the things that you need. The fourth thing is, this is the other shutdown time I was talking about. Shut down electronics, laptop, TV, devices, anything at least 30 minutes before you go to sleep. So, for example, you don't want to be laying in bed and like checking your email and checking, Instagram and it's like right before you sleep and then you just put it down. You got to let your brain kind of calm down. You got to let yourself just kind of like detox from the day. And it's also just not a good practice to be, all in the devices right before bed. Especially, another thing is, as a side note, especially staying away from like news and negative things like that, because that kind of stuff literally goes into your subconscious. I don't know if you've ever seen this happen to you or had this happen to you, where you might have watched a scary movie, or you watched something horrific in the news and you maybe had a bad dream. Those kinds of things are for real. And so I make sure I don't expose myself to those types of things right before bedtime, but I don't even watch news. That's a whole nother video. But you want to make sure you shut down and let your brain kind of like calm down. So that one is like, that one I really believe in, being sure to shut down when it comes to right before you're going to go to sleep. So like, for example, 8 o'clock or 8:30, I try to just shut down because I try to get to bed by 9 because I do wake up a little before 4 o'clock. So number 5 is to take time for yourself. I love this one, taking time for yourself. I really, really believe that people need to do more of this. Whether that is you read a book, so if this is something that you've always wanted to do, read a book, catch up on, journaling, or, practicing gratitude and writing that in the journal. I think that's a great practice that you can do before bedtime. One of the things that I do is I reflect on the day, and I do this daily where I think about, okay, what are some of the wins of the day? Celebrate those things, write that down. Another thing I also look at is what went wrong, or, that's kind of a negative way to phrase it, but what could I have improved today? What didn't go so well, but what was the lesson that I learned from it? And I think it's just a great practice to, celebrate those wins, understand the lessons that you could have improved on or learned, and the situations you could have improved on, and then just reflecting and being grateful for, the things that went well. The thing, simple things. It could be like, thank you, I'm healthy. I'm grateful that, I have wonderful friends and family in my life, or thank you that my business is growing and thriving, or thank you that I signed a contract today. It's just really good practice to have gratitude implemented, especially right before you go to bed. So the sixth one, I would say, this is super, super important. Start to implement sleeping at the same time. So like I told you, for example, I do my best to try to shut electronics down by 8:30 at the max, but by 9:30, depending on how hectic things are, it's done. I'm done. I'm gone to the world. And because I've been practicing this for a while. So the other thing that I've noticed too is that I actually will wake up sometimes before the alarm. It's just my body has gotten into this rhythm. So when people ask me like, I don't even know how you wake up, it's because of these things that I'm doing the night before. Not only is it literally physical things that you need to do, but mentally, like how are you preparing your brain for the night before in order to have this day the next morning. And if you didn't catch that video, I did one on the morning routine. Make sure you watch that as a follow-up as well. And so the other thing too to consider is I truly believe that people have different amount of hours that they need in order to sleep. So I know for me, it's about 6.5. There are some people, I have friends that like they have to get 8 hours. I met one person one time that needed 10. I thought that was that was wow, because that's like way so much. Everybody has a different number. And I just can't, I rarely will sleep. I'll just automatically wake up. So you will discover what that number is for you. And but the thing is to be consistent, because I have some friends who have a difficult time, waking up or going to sleep. And I can always pinpoint it to, do you go to sleep around the same time every night? And then the answer is typically no. And I go, well, what are you doing? And it's like 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Sometimes it goes like, 11 o'clock, 2 a.m. And it's all over the place. And so that's what I'm talking about. Build some kind of consistency, whatever that time is. Again, I get it. There are going to be times, for example, I sometimes have board meetings that they end at 7. I'm on the board for a nonprofit, the Youth Center. And, because there was that hour and it's a little later, it shifts things. So then there's things that I hadn't gotten to yet. So it pushes back things. So I get it. There's going to be times when you can't always be consistent, but do your best, because there are going to be events. So there's sometimes when, you have to go somewhere and that ends a little later. And so it pushes back the schedule, but try to account for that and see what you can do in the, during the day, if your schedule permits, but try to find a consistent time. Okay. So those are my 6 tips. So what are some ways that you can start implementing this? Well, one of them is to give yourself some grace. If this isn't something that you've done, give yourself 30 days. It's not going to happen overnight. It might, but it depends on how good you are about implementing habits and adjusting to something different that you may not be used to. I know for me, I've had to make several adjustments through the years when my son's schedule changed. Every time he went to a different school, from daycare to preschool to the elementary school, the times had always shifted, and I always had to reverse engineer it. Like, okay, what time do I need to wake up now? And then when I started working out earlier, I realized, okay, now I got to wake up earlier too. And now everything was shifting. I'm like, okay, that means I got to go to sleep earlier. So you need to look at your schedule and identify what is it that you need to do so that you can start putting this stuff the night before. And you know what? Maybe you don't do all 6 right away. Maybe you implement 2 or 1, but allow yourself to ease into it, because you are changing a lot of habits, I believe, for the better. So allow yourself to implement 2, and then maybe work your way up to 6 of them if you want to try to implement all of them. Another one that I think is very helpful is setting alarms and alerts and things like that. So for example, I mentioned the shutdown, put an alarm. the work shutdown. The second shutdown is, okay, devices off, electronics off, and maybe you give yourself like 15 minutes just to read. I've done that before where I was trying to get into the habit of reading a book for 15 minutes a day. And when you take those small steps, things get done. Of course, sometimes there were times when the book was so good I didn't want to put it down and I would push it to 30 minutes. But the point is, even if you did 5 minutes, you are doing something that you're taking baby steps, and small little steps cumulatively create massive action. And so, allow yourself to see these little steps. But in order for that to happen, sometimes we need those reminders, we need those alerts. So, use the alarms on your phone. I know you can create multiple ones, and I've done that many, many times. So that is also something that's very helpful. Another thing that you can make sure you do is that make sure you prepare your environment. If you are going to journal, have that next to you, maybe on your nightstand. If you are going to read, have that book and place it in the same place, because you're going to lose time. If you leave it here, you leave it there, you're wasting time looking for it. Get into the habit of having a place for it. Especially when you're tidying up, maybe make sure like, okay, my journal is here. I'm going to write in this. My book is here. I'm going to read it for 15 minutes. So the better prepared you can be with your environment and your space, that's going to help you develop that habit of reading or journaling or practicing gratitude and whatnot. And the last thing I would say is also helpful that you might want to implement is praying, deep breathing, meditating, even maybe yoga. I think there's something really, really beautiful and amazing about doing that. It just relaxes your body. You're just relaxing your entire state of mind. And then, you're just going to prepare yourself to have great sleep. So as you can see, doing all these things, creates a really great night routine. And now that I'm saying, I'm like, wow, that is a lot of stuff. But it really isn't. It's just little small changes. And again, take 1 or 2 in the beginning and try to implement them. And so allow yourself some time to ease into the nighttime routine. So I hope that helped. I hope that you'll be able to practice some of these things, and I would love to see how you've incorporated into your routine. Make sure to like and comment below if you have any questions. Leave it in the comments, and I would love to hear how this has helped you. All right, take care until next time. Bye-bye.